Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 171 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. I'll be your host today. Join me as usual is Jody.
Hello. Got a little tricky with the intro there.
I know. And joining us most of the time is Mondo.
Okay, first of all, let's just stop right here. I think out of Jody and myself, I think Jody has missed more than I have.
I have definitely missed some. Yeah, it happened. Life.
Yeah, but his are usually like on like acts of God, like kids getting sick or
me getting sick isn't an act of God, or and I apologize. I have a job that makes me travel for a living, Jason, if that upsets you so much.
I'm not upset. I'm just calling it like it is.
We could never be married, dude. Like, you'd be so upset on the road, and you'd be like,
it would be a toxic relationship to say the least.
Oh, definitely, without question.
Like,
I'm pretty sure Jason would hit me.
Oh. No. I'm more emotionally manipulative.
Okay, I got you. You'd be more in the you'd more want to wreck me mentally than destroy my physical well-being. Okay, I appreciate this.
Well,
I was going to make some other side joke to that. I don't mean you'd hit me in a spousal abuse sense. I just like your guy that likes to hit things. I don't know. Like,
I'm not really.
I'm just kidding. You're one of the
hot for a morning recording today.
I know. This is record on a Sunday morning.
And I made a mistake last night and got really high. And nice. I took a resin gummy, which I'm not used to taking resin gummies. Those holy shit, dude. Yeah. They hit you hard. Like way harder than life should ever be.
What did we watch? We watched the other night, we got pretty blazed, and we watched this movie Noelle with Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader as Santa Claus's children. It's amazing when you're on another planet.
Okay. I love Bill Hader. I enjoy Anna Kendrick, but I love Bill Hader.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've talked about it before. You guys have seen Barry, right?
I told you I know I just need to sit down and watch it.
You do. It's legit one of the best shows of all time.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. It's kind of like with The Bear. I watched like 3 episodes. I'm like, I'm gonna like this. I just need to find time to watch the rest.
I enjoy The Bear. My problem with The Bear is some of the scenes give me anxiety.
Yeah, that's the problem with my wife too. She said it gave her way too much anxiety to keep watching. So then she was like, "Okay, you go watch it."
Exactly for that reason. It's one of those that I think I'd probably like a lot, but also, yeah, I don't need to stress myself out for TV.
Have you seen Uncut Gems, that Adam Sandler film? That was another one that I loved. I thought it was a great movie, but by the end of it, my little Whoop, shout out to Whoop fitness band, was like, "Yeah, your heart rate is super elevated." I'm like, yeah.
Well, we were talking to pre-show about I watched the Nora last night, and I think it's like if Uncut Gems was a romantic comedy, that's what Nora would be. Not as chaotic, but like that style of film.
Sure.
Hey, Mondo, what's that mug you got there?
Oh, this is this the best mug you'll ever find? Probably not. It is pretty cool. Are we the best podcast you'll ever find? Debatable, but we like nice things on the Dads from the Crypt podcast. So if you guys want to see the coffee mug, you can go to our YouTube channel and see the Dads from the Crypt podcast logo coffee mug available somewhere.
Yeah, you can order more stickers.
I'm pretty sure I left my coffee mug in the car the other day. It's a fairly regular thing for me. So I have my son's Fortnite mug today for my coffee.
Real fast, Jody, where do we buy these Dads from the Crypt coffee mugs from?
Where can we purchase this coffee mug from? Public page, right? Or maybe Redbubble.
Yeah, I've uploaded new logo anywhere. So
I put it on Redbubble and TeePublic, I think. So
okay, I ordered this from Redbubble. We are great marketers, by the way, guys.
Good. We're very good at this.
Speaking of being a podcast, maybe not the best podcast. For those that may not have seen, we have a interview I did with Mr. Kane Hodder, and it's a crazy ass story that I feel like I just want to share. This is just like the power of just being there at the right place in the right time. So there's a movie that Kane is promoting called The Activated Man, which is also Tony Todd's last like lead role. That wasn't, I think he has a cameo in the new Final Destination movie. So that'll be like his last performance as far as him having like a lead role. So they were I was getting all these Facebook ads for this movie called The Activated Man, that they're going to do a big premiere. So like I messaged them and said, hey, I have a podcast, I'd love to cover it, yada yada. It's like, okay. So they gave me like, there's like a public screening, then there's like the cast and the crew screening. So oh yeah, come to the cast and crew screening. I'm like, great. And then I RSVP'd for 2 because I was trying to see if like Joe Russo or another friend of the pod wanted to go, like Matthew Torres, etc. And I got a text message from the director, who I guess was handling a lot of the logistics of the screening, saying, hey, we're running short on tickets. Are you going to use your +1? And I said, no, you can have it. But then I said, by the way, if I wanted to get like a promo or shout out from Kane Hodder, because it was going to be on Friday the 13th, do I go to a publicist or go to him directly to ask?
I just like that you had an extra ticket and you didn't think to invite myself or Jody. You talked about friends of the podcast.
Well, it's like the day before. You don't live in the same states.
It would just be nice to be asked.
Okay, now you do sound like my wife. So the director messaged me like literally the day before at like 2 p.m. says, hey, he asked me why I was what I would use the promo for. I'm like, oh no, I have a podcast, we like to do shout outs and stuff. And then he says, oh, would you be interested in coming and interviewing Mr. Hodder at his hotel, because they were going to have Dread Central come and do like an in-person interview and they just canceled last minute. So this is at like 1:30 p.m. They want to do it at 7:00 that night at like a hotel in Beverly Hills.
And the fun part was Jason was already at the hotel because he chloroformed the guy from Dread Central.
Yeah, exactly. He still haven't heard from him yet. I really do want to write like a psycho podcast host movie. I think I can do it.
I think so, Jason. I think you should do that. And I don't mean that facetiously. I mean that earnestly. I think it's something that would be kind of fun that you could do.
Now here's the thing. When I go to conventions, I am not afraid to walk up to pretty much anybody. And if their table is slow and they're just looking for someone to talk to, I'll go up and talk to anybody. I'm usually pretty ballsy about that. Kane Hodder's the one person I've always avoided because I don't know. Jason was like the boogeyman for me as a kid.
And Kane Hodder's a very imposing physical figure too. And I remember when Jason talked to me before he went out there. And I kind of told him, I said, wait a minute, you're bigger. I think you're as big, if not bigger, than Kane Hodder.
Oh, no, I'm like way taller than he is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he was about 6'4", 6'5". But...
No. So, well, I'll get to that in a second.
Okay. Sorry.
So I have to like get up the gumption to do this, but it's like a once in a lifetime, opportunity. And I have to figure out on a technical level how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to get the kids taken care of. There's like 1,000,001 logistics. For those that don't know, I do like a ton of preparation for these questions and stuff. I'm just trying to think of good questions and everything. Normally I would ask to watch the movie, or I'd watch, there's 1,000,001 things I would have done, but on such a short timeline, I was like, fuck it, we'll just roll with it. So, they got a back room of a restaurant at a Beverly Hills hotel. And I'm walking in and then I recognize him, and I think he can tell I'm the one like looking for people and everything. And he looks at me and says, well, you're a Sid Haig looking motherfucker. I'm like, okay, that's probably the best compliment I've ever gotten.
What a great icebreaker.
I know. And then he comes up and we shake hands and everything. And then we even took a picture later, speaking of how tall. He pulls me down into like a headlock, because I think I'm guessing that because I'm actually rather tall, a bit taller than he is. I think he was trying to bring me down.
What's funny is it doesn't even look like he's got you in a headlock. It looks like he just has his arm around you. So whatever he tried to do, he succeeded in.
Yeah, so that's what I think it is. He's not like a small guy by any means, but he's not as tall as you think in real life. Anyways, we go to a back room, and then of course, we're having a bunch of technical issues and whatnot. We get the interview done. It's great. Audio, for those that listen to it, especially my mic, isn't very good. And what I realized a big issue was the room they selected is all glass. So the ceiling was glass, all the walls were glass. So I think it was just a really
the most
echoey challenged environment.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to do that because it's just bouncing off everything. But
his audio is really good.
next time, if I was your +1, maybe we could make that sound better. I'm just gonna say.
Oh yeah. But luckily his audio sounds good, so that's all I really care about. So if you can make it through all my garbled Luke talk, and also I was so nervous when we started, I called him Jane Hodder. Because Jason, I'm like looking at him, and it's just, yeah. But I mean, there's actually a lot of good information. There's a lot of great talk about Tony Todd. They're working with him and everything. He tells some interesting Jason stories, which I don't know if they're pretty, I would say obscure, but like I think we got some interesting information. He like has a movie he wants to make that's got more of a comedy. I think sounds really interesting. I had to edit out a couple things, but yeah, it sounds really, really interesting. And then so yeah, that all went great. I went to the premiere the next night. Tony Todd's wife was there. They saved like an empty seat for Tony. I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It's independent, so you take that as you will, but it's a good time. But also a lot of it's predicated on a man losing his dog, loses like his best friend, and the grief like activates his psychic powers, and then Tony Todd is like a shaman that guides him through it in a way. That's the very basic, but yeah, I don't know if you would want to watch it.
I do want to watch it. It might hit a little close to home right now because
there's a lot of that.
A rough year with animals.
But
you guys did see we adopted a 10-year-old puppy.
Yeah, tell me about him.
He's just we went to the animal fund. We went to the PetSmart and just to go look. This sounds really bad, but I mean this in the most like I don't even know the way I want to put this, but it's really hard losing a dog and not having another dog around. If that makes sense. Like people see it as like someone's replacing your dog, but you're not doing that. You need something else to focus on. And I remember reading something saying that when the dog dies, it takes a little part of your heart away, and all you can do is fill that back up with more love from dogs until you eventually your whole heart becomes dog love. And I'm like, that's kind of a cool way to look at this, to look at the world. And we just went to PetSmart and we're looking at all these little rambunctious dogs, because keep in mind my Chihuahua's 17 and not in good health. And I saw a sign on they have a little caged off pen, and I saw a sign on there for a little 10-year-old Chihuahua, and I was like, I wish he was in there. We could meet him. So we're just talking to one of the women, because there's this larger dog who was also chill, and she goes, nah, this is like the only time of the day he's going to be chill. He's rambunctious as all hell. He's 8 months old. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't have that big dog around my little dog, because she won't understand and he won't understand. So then she goes, why don't you check this dog out? And then in this little backpack there was who they called Izzy, and the person let my wife hold him, and I hold him, and my wife held him more, and we kind of just fell in love with this guy right away. He's a super chill, relaxed Chihuahua, wants to cuddle for 90% of the day, likes to have his little puppy time every now and again, likes to go for little walks, missing most of his teeth.
I will say, from the pictures you shared, it's the ears. Those ears, like you can't resist that.
I need to get a good picture, but he's also got a crazy overbite.
Oh, nice.
And it's the cutest thing ever. Like he's got all these little weird things about him, that you look as flaws, and I kind of love that. Yeah. I've always been a fan of the underdog, and I like to give. It's hard knowing that I'm not going to have a ton of time with him. That he's already he's already more than middle age. He's 10 years old, and a lot of dogs don't live past 13, 14, 15. Yeah. So I know that's going to be heartbreaking, but I also want to give this little guy a last 5 years, 7 years, whatever, of his good life. So anybody out there, if you're thinking about adopting a dog, don't forget that senior dogs exist, and senior dogs usually spend the most time at the shelters. And a lot of them, like, I don't know this guy. They don't know this guy's backstory. They adopted him they found him basically, and they couldn't find an owner. But some of these senior dogs, like, they were abandoned by their families, or be it by voluntarily, because they wanted a younger dog and didn't want to deal with the problems that come with an older dog, which to me is fucking diabolical. Or sometimes the owner passes away, and now they have this old dog they need to have taken care of. So that's my my soapbox for the day. If you're thinking about adopting, I'm not going to ever knock anyone for adopting a puppy or anything like that. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not ever going to. The fact you're adopting is awesome. Like you're taking a dog in that needs a better life. But if you have been thinking about adopting or maybe even fostering a senior dog, do it. Like, they're just great animals, and he's already warmed up the house. I told him yesterday, I'm like, it's been a week and I love you. Like, I meet humans, I know them for years, and I'm like, I don't know
well,
about
and you
this.
gave him a new name, right?
So he is no longer Izzy Dizzy. He is now for Mr. Renfield.
Oh, love it.
Because we like the name Renfield, and also he's a Chihuahua, so Ren from Ren and Stimpy, which I grew up on, and just he's a little guy. It's brought a lot of joy to our house in a time where it's not been that joyous, and not by no means not joyous because of my family or anything like that, just because we still have this cloud of grief hanging over us from our dog and cat that passed away.
Oh,
that's my soapbox for the day. Feels good. This is like therapy. Who needs a fucking therapist?
I know.
I just come on here and say some stuff, and you guys agree with me. Don't challenge me on anything. It's amazing.
All right. Well, we'll let Jody get some time in after we do our review proper, but let's dive into it. Today we're talking Creepshow Season 2, Episode 4 from April 22nd, 2001. Jody, give us the first segment plot synopsis.
All right. Yeah, so both of these segments are a little light on plot, so it won't take much describing to talk about everything happening in them. But the first one is called Pipe Screams. And in that, we meet a landlord named Victoria, played by Barbara Crampton. She is terrible. She's arrogant. She's racist. You know, all these terrible things. And she gets a plumber to come. His name is Linus, and he's going to come inspect the plumbing because her worst apartment that she owns, people are making a lot of complaints. And Linus goes down into the basement to try to figure out what's going on. He discovers her building has lead pipes, and she doesn't care. She doesn't care that there's kids living in the apartments with the lead pipes. Again, just awful all the way around. And but he says he can't work on those lead pipes, and she forces him to by saying, you know, I've seen you have bad reviews online because of your former partner, and if you don't work on these lead pipes or you try to report them, I'll just make it even worse for you and destroy your business. So he desperately needs some money, and so he agrees to her terms. After doing some digging, he discovers that the source of the problem is a clog that is alive. Like, at first he thinks it's a rat, but no, it's this like ball of hair and slime. We see that it's alive because it eats a cat. At one point, it jumps onto Linus's hand and like strips all the flesh off of his hand. Attacks him, and he's up in one of the people's apartments. It jumps on his face, and the lady who lives in the apartment manages to trap it under a bucket. So they're like, what do we do with this thing? Wait, I have an idea. And so they call Victoria back over, and she goes down into the basement, and all of the tenants are waiting there for her. They say, you know, you didn't tell us about the lead pipes. You are a terrible landlord, a terrible person. And they kind of keep advancing on her, and so she backs up until she's standing over a grate, and that's when the clog jumps out, grabs a hold of her, and pulls her down into the grate. You know, kills her. And then we see at the very end that the people living in the apartment have, I guess they stayed there despite the lead pipes. They're like, that's not a big deal. But they have become friends with the clog, and the woman's daughter is feeding it some cat food before it goes to school. So, yeah, little friendly little slime ball for the apartment.
And they call it, I think they name it Fluffy, right?
Yes.
Fluffy was the cat originally, but yeah, I think maybe they keep calling it Fluffy. Or
the dog bowl the other cat bowl has Fluffy written on it at the end.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that's a callback to Creepshow the movie, or at least what they called the Crate Monster.
Yeah.
All right, Mondo, start us off. What do you think?
I absolutely love this episode.
Yeah.
It's a lot of schlocky fun. I love my only complaint with, and this is a minor complaint, is the CGI at the end gets a little. Well, I'd say in both these episodes, actually not this one. I'm sorry, I'm getting them mixed up. The latter ones where the CGI gets weird. I love the fact that it is very light on plot. It's just you're just kind of watching this story unfold in front of you. Not a whole lot of exposition, but the way they tell the story based on the way the actors' movements and what they're doing and all that, I think is fantastic. I love Barbara Crampton in a heel role, to be honest with you. I thought that was a lot of fun. And yeah, overall, I'm like, anytime you give me a kind of a little creature feature like this with the creature blob, and the fact they befriended at the end is like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of adorable. And I would like to think that the plumber, being now a good person, went ahead and replaced those pipes. But who knows? And I had one more piece to two, and my brains is not working that great. It's earlier than we generally record, so at a point that I need to bring this up, and I totally.
It'll come to you.
The main character, because they did allude to him having a kind of a little bit of a sordid past, but the fact though, I like the fact I expected him to end up being like a bad guy kind of. I love the fact that he had his moral limits where he's like, "There's no way I'm going to not get rid of his lead pipes. This is terrible." So I really did enjoy that. This one I love the segment.
Yeah, I find it interesting because just a couple episodes ago we had the exterminator who would have screwed everyone over for the money. So I don't know if that was intentional, that they had like kind of a setup of one character to make us think it was going one way when they went the other way with this character. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a Joe Lynch joint, so like this kind of paved the way for Suitable Flush, which I'm all here for, with him and Barbara Crampton. She is so good going over the top like this. It was really, really fun. I like when actors can finally like choose some scenery, because that's what every actor I think wants to do to some degree, or at least like have the opportunity. And he just kind of lets her go off. It's really, really good.
Yeah, when I said light on plot, that wasn't a knock on this either.
No.
Like, in a creature feature, if you have a cool creature and some good characters, you got it. Like, you don't have to have a big story with it. This was enough.
I mean, that thing was like on his face. The hairy tentacles were like wrapping around the back of his head. I thought he was a goner. I did not expect him to get the thing off.
Hey, and as a person who lives in a house with many females, I have a wife and I have 3 teenage daughters. The hair clogs, they're real. They're real and scary and just horrifying sometimes.
I used to have long hair back in the day. Yeah, and our drains in this house we all use the same shower because our master bath wasn't done yet. So yeah, I had to de-hair that sucker quite often.
Right. So yeah, that was like a visceral like ick for me. It made me think a lot of like obviously the raft segment from Creepshow 2, and also 80s The Blob. Which is always, a good time for me. It's one of my favorite movies. So I really enjoyed this as well. Jody?
Yeah, no, it's a ton of fun. Anytime you see Barbara Crampton on screen, I'm already, into it. But yeah, it's just a cool little creature feature. And, it had the kind of like the poor people rising up against the bad rich person, which, kind of a thing that people are talking about a lot lately. This is a thing. So I enjoyed that aspect of it, and I just thought it was a cool little segment. It's probably not going to be one of the ones that I'm like, yes, this is my favorite Creepshow segment, but like for something to sit and watch and enjoy a cool creature, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, again, hats off to the special effects people as always, top notch. All right, and the second segment, Jody.
All right. The second segment is Within the Walls of Madness. And in this one, a graduate student he's been arrested because of something that happened at this Install 511, a government research facility in Antarctica. And so he tells a new defender, his appointed attorney, what happened to get him there. And so at this research station in Antarctica, they're studying paranormal phenomena for military application. And there's this containment breach, and he is with one of the other grad students, a girl, and something happens. We don't see it, but in the end, we see him with an axe and blood everywhere, and she is chopped up into tiny little bits all over the place. Her boyfriend is a security guard there. He blames the guy. And he says, look at the tapes. We have tapes. And so his superior, Dr. Trollenberg, goes and watches the tapes. And you see on the tapes that some tentacle thing killed her, exploded her all over the place. And he had the axe just to fight it back. But Dr. Trollenberg is totally cool with this whole situation because she is trying to summon these creatures, the old ones. She uses some kind of in the description of that I'm looking at, it says an instrument, but it's like an organic thing, like a body of some little creature, and she blows through it and it makes a tone, and that opens up this portal for the thing to come through. The security guard boyfriend gets an axe to the head when he tries to attack our main guy. Dr. Trollenberg is trying to summon the old ones again. She gets her head chopped off. At about that time, another security team comes in and arrests him. And so that's how he got arrested. The attorney doesn't really care. She doesn't believe any of this. And so she's just trying to get a book deal. And so he gets the death penalty. And as he is getting ready to be executed, his last request is to blow that instrument. For some reason, they give him that request. I don't know why, but they let him do that. And when that happens, it once again opens a portal right there in the execution chamber, and Cthulhu type thing, probably Cthulhu, emerges from a portal in the wall and kills everybody there, including the attorney. And the guy kind of talks directly to the camera and it's like, the old ones come in through the walls, and he laughs as we wrap up this story.
Thank you. All right, Mondo.
I like this one a lot too. This is the one with the questionable CGI at the end, and
it's pretty dodgy.
I love Lovecraft stories. I don't love Lovecraft the person. I love Lovecraftian stories.
Totally fair.
And anytime, and I do think I love when you have modern, directors and writers that take that mythos and kind of run with it and do different things with it. Sometimes better than HP did himself. And I really thought the story on this was really fun, especially the end with the doctor. Like everything, you're basically watching her watch the future in this episode. So she knows what's going to happen. And at the beginning, I love when he goes, "Why are you trying to get me convicted? Like, why? What do you have against me?" And the whole thing was this. She knew she had to get him arrested in order for all these other events to play out, which I really enjoyed. I think this is one of the ones that could have benefited at the end from doing more of the comic book art style and showing some of those scenes as like panels, because the tentacles looked really bad. I'm just going to say, except for that when they did the comic panels and had like the practical effect tentacles, that was awesome. I love that part, but I don't need to see these little weird CGI tentacles everywhere. But overall, a very, very enjoyable segment of this too. And I was a fan of it.
Yeah, if you don't have the budget to do it really well, I would rather have the more stylized or comic book stuff.
Or stop motion, or there's all kinds of there's the HP Lovecraft Historical Society did a Call of Cthulhu black and white film. What was that? Probably almost 20 years ago, probably at this point.
Wow,
and I think they did it on a budget of like $5,000 with friends that were actors, and they even managed to have a boat sailing. A really, really well done piece of film. But I highly recommend that also to anybody who wants to see really low budget filmmaking done right, and that really makes the stuff look as awesome as possible.
Yeah, this is fun. I could have used more, like a whole story, like a whole movie, which we could have gotten with Guillermo del Toro's In the Mouth of Madness. Which kind of made me think like, I would have loved to see that version of this story.
I want to see that, and then I also want to see Guillermo del Toro's version of was it Nightmare on Elm Street 5 that he wrote?
Oh yeah.
Which is like the coolest plot line of all time, which I never did. Pisses me off.
but I am excited for his Frankenstein coming in 2025. Yeah, absolutely. So really excited for that. But
and he's a Frankenstein geek. He loves Frankenstein. So I think I'm pretty stoked for that.
Yeah. But back to this, I mean the acting is a little hacky to some degree, which I don't know if they're like leaning into the campiness of it. We got Denise Crosby as the scientist, and as a young like Star Trek Next Generation fan, I always get like excited to see her around. Her death scene in that show like scarred me as a kid. That was like one of the first like main character deaths that like really affected me. And also Pet Sematary. But
you never watched Transformers the movie when you were a kid?
But at least that was like cartoon. Like that wasn't like
I was devastated.
I love Transformers as much as the next kid, but
at least straight up Optimus Prime in the first 15
I know, Jesus. Just so they can introduce more characters for toys. That was so fucked up.
The 80s did not care about your trauma.
Yeah.
Hey kids, but before you go home today from school, we're gonna watch a movie about a kid shooting his dog.
Let's roll this big ass TV into your classroom. Let's devastate everybody now.
Yeah, this is directed by John Harrison. You know, Tales from the Dark Side, a million other things, a bunch of great Tales from the Crypt episodes. And for the scale that they are trying to get on that budget, except for the CG parts, it actually looks really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
There's like some big shots of the terrain and the ice caves and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he really, you know, directed his ass off and all that. I would watch John Harrison's In the Mouth of Madness, like a full feature length version of that story. Yeah, I would totally be there. So for what we have, for what it is, it's good, but it's such an epic story that I would love to see it in the full capacity.
It's kind of weird that Hollywood really kind of shies away from Lovecraft when I think there's a huge market for it out there.
Well, they like incorporating elements, but yeah, they're afraid of doing a direct full adaptation, but they love like cherry picking bits.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like of the Lovecraft stories, Cthulhu is probably one of the hardest ones to adapt well on screen because, you know, the whole point of the story is this thing is indescribable. It blows your mind to even see it. And 90% of the time, it looks all right when you see it in a movie. Like, it's not great. And so, like, it's hard to match that scale. Like, Shadow over Innsmouth, that's a perfect Lovecraft to adapt because it's just fish people, you know, it's not as overwhelming with the giant things. And so I can understand probably why they stay away from it, because it's going to take somebody like Guillermo del Toro to pull off, I think, a good Cthulhu movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cthulhu's a tough one, man. Like, even again in that one I was mentioning earlier, they did like a stop motion Cthulhu, which was really good.
Yeah,
but
it was.
It wouldn't have worked on a, like, you couldn't have put that in a movie theater and had people not be pissed off.
Right.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? But yeah, we did Lovecraft Country, which was a good like remix of all the Cthulhu mythos. That was a really good show.
That was a great show. Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's got his due to some degree culturally. I mean, as far as an influence, yes. Yeah, we haven't had like a full serious high budget. And maybe there's a million reasons why they might not be doing that, but I do think that there's just so much cosmic horror, cosmic themed, like, again, more influenced, that, you know, it's out there if you look hard enough for it.
You know, the best Lovecraft adaptation from the last few years, The Color Out of Space, the Nick Cage one.
Yes, that's all I was thinking.
Good. That was awesome.
And to Jason's point, it was one of those that really leaned super heavy into like the unknown from the cosmos as opposed to a physical old god, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else we want to talk on these? They're pretty straightforward, but highly enjoyable.
No, I'm good.
I'm trying to think if there was any other points that I had remembered, but yeah, that's about it.
Well, I just thought Jason was going to talk next. I was waiting for him, and he didn't. So enjoy that. Enjoy that half second of awkward silence.
I do think that this season might be more even keeled than last season so far.
I think so. Yeah,
because I think last season there's definitely some highs, but there's also some really not great episodes. I think this one, even the ones that are like might not be mind-blowing, like these aren't like mind-blowing in any particular way, but they're very solid.
Definitely.
I'm excited going forward, because when I originally was watching through the Creepshow series, I think this might have been the last one I actually watched, not for any reason, just, you know, you just fall off stuff sometimes. And so everything from this point on is new to me, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Alrighty, do we have a favorite between the two? A preference?
The first one for me.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I just think overall it was a more solid effort, and that's, again, not a knock on the second one. It's just I think the first one fits more in with that small, you know, that short format.
Yeah, that's a great way to put that. I agree.
And limitations, obviously.
Okay, before moving on, let's do a quick shout out.
Hi, I'm Barbara Crampton, and you're watching Dads from the Crypt.
Insane, absolutely insane.
Barbara Crampton is just a gem of a person too. She's one of the I love seeing all these actors that have just embraced this horror movie fandom that they have, and she loves horror movies, loves acting in them, loves meeting fans. Like she talks to people all the time on Twitter who reach out to her, you know. So she's just a doll.
Yeah.
Nice.
One of my favorite interactions on Twitter before I, have now nuked my Twitter, was talking with Barbara Crampton. I was like, she's just a genuinely cool person. She would always watch The Last Drive-In at the same time that we were, and chat about the movies. And so it was a lot of fun.
Nice. All right, Mondo, give us your song of the day.
So I have to be very specific on this because there are two bands with the same name, but one is spelled slightly different. There's a band called Gehenna. Do you know what Gehenna is, by the way?
I do.
Say that again.
Do you know Gehenna?
No.
Am I pronouncing that right? It's the valley that surrounds Jerusalem.
Okay, I know henna, but not Gehenna.
Maybe it's pronounced henna. I don't.
No. Henna is a whole different thing. But
okay. But there's one that with an H on the end, and they're from Sweden. There's one with no H, and they're from Norway. It gets confusing because they dropped their first demo in '93. Both bands did, and then both bands released their first full length in 1995. So just to make things incredibly confusing, but they do sound very, very different. One is the early second wave black metal with a lot of keyboards, a lot of symphonic elements, where the Gehenna with an H is more black metal with a thrash metal aesthetic, more like party black metal, I guess, or black and roll, some people call it. But they did an EP back in 1995 called No Fucking Christmas. And maybe this is just me. I've tried in my years post retail to really start loving Christmas and enjoying Christmas. I thought I was there. And this year threw a fucking monkey wrench in those plans. So I'm very just not into the holiday spirit this year. My dog Freya that passed away, she loved Christmas. She loved opening presents. And it's going to be very depressing not having her open her presents this year. So I'm not really into the Christmas spirits. I picked a song that's really not in the Christmas spirit either. From the EP No Fucking Christmas by Gehenna, I picked the song Satana Claus, which is about Santa Claus being Satan, I guess. I don't know. It's a fun song. It's fun anytime any metal bands do these little weird Christmas stuff. There's a lot, and there's a bunch of them out there that have done anti-Christmas songs, I guess you can call them. And even a band, I think Spider God, which just did straight up Christmas carols. So yeah, check it out, guys. Satana Claus by Gehenna with an H off the EP No Fucking Christmas. If it's not on Apple Music or Spotify, it's on YouTube. YouTube Music.
All right, Jody, give us some horror news.
All right, let's talk releases first. One that's kind of a smaller thing, but and really only horror adjacent, but I wanted to mention it because I watched it the other night with my daughters and we enjoyed it. From the director of Orphan and The Shallows on Netflix, there's a new movie called Carry On. It's about a TSA agent who gets a call as he's running the scanner saying, hey, there's about to be a suitcase coming through. You have to let it through or your girlfriend dies. Basically, that's the setup for the whole thing. It's more of an action thriller type thing, but it's good. It's an enjoyable time.
I saw the trailer. It looked fun, and I'm a big fan of Jason Bateman.
Yeah, Jason Bateman's in it, and Taron Egerton. I don't know how to say his name, but anyway, he's the main guy, and he does a really good job with it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a fun, Die Hardy type movie, for Christmas. But the release / trailer that I am most excited about, and the one I want to talk about, we got a first trailer for Death of a Unicorn coming out in spring 2025. It looks incredible. So weird. It's a A24 movie. It's got Jenna Ortega in it. It's got Paul Rudd, Will Poulter. It's produced by Ari Aster. It's not an Ari Aster movie, but it's produced by him. So it's got some of those weird vibes in there. John Carpenter's doing the music for it. Just absolutely nuts. And it's about a unicorn, not in a vague metaphorical way, but an actual unicorn and a murder unicorn. And so much stuff I want in this.
Yeah, that trailer looks amazing. It's the kind of thing where either someone with money got behind that movie, because it could easily be like a low budget, Shudder exclusive kind of thing, or kind of like Pooh and Honey, that kind of those kind of movies.
Mhm.
But no, they got big money through these big great effects, big cast, great cast. So there's a lot of love going in for this. So it could be the weirdest movie that makes a good amount of money. I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, it's the thing I'm most excited about for 2025 at this particular moment, because it just looks insane, and it looks like they play it straight, despite
Mhm.
being, a movie about a unicorn that murders people. So yeah, I'm into it.
It kind of reminds me of Rubber a little bit, where
Okay.
Rubber, same thing, as a killer tire, but they played it completely straight.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check out that trailer. I don't think it spoils too much. I think it's just, finding out there's a killer unicorn in it. And yeah, very into it. All right, so some casting news. One that I'm not sure about. The first one is Jared Leto is going to be playing Skeletor in a live action Masters of the Universe movie. There's a lot of problems with that.
That I really was hoping that was a joke, because that does not sound good.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I mean, the Jared Leto-ness of it is already concerning, but then add in a Masters of the Universe remake in 2025. I just don't know.
After Jared Leto's rants about, like, I don't know, like about how much like his Joker wasn't respected and he was just as good as Heath Ledger, I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And it's like no knock of his acting. That's a knock on the writing and stuff. But also, Jared Leto has a band, right?
Yeah.
And
nobody wants to play with him.
He just seems like an unpleasant person to be around.
Yeah.
I worked with a gentleman who got an offer to play bass for his band, and the money was great for like 3 months, and he refused to do it based on the reputation of Jared Leto.
So yeah, that's a thing that's coming. Masters of the Universe.
Like, I love the original, the 80s one.
Sure.
As a kid. That's a movie as a kid I watched over and over. Like the VHS tape literally fell apart as I was watching that movie.
It's a lot of fun. The original is a lot of fun. And
Frank, I can never say his name right. Frank Langella, Skeletor, is freaking amazing. And the fact they did that with just prosthetics and makeup and everything. Like, I kind of would love to see Jared Leto in just like complete pale white makeup and just like going crazy and just like having that be like a thing that like floats on the internet, but not for a whole fucking movie.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one. I am cautious about that one. Like, I'll probably watch it at some point, but I'm not excited about it at this particular moment.
Yeah, I'll definitely see it. My fear is they try to make it like the original one had some seriousness to it, but it's still very campy. Right. And that's part of the charm of it. And I'm afraid they're going to try to make it too serious.
Right. And you can do serious He-Man. That the new Masters of the Universe Revelation animated show on Netflix, really good. Like, it's really good, and it's played pretty straight. I enjoy that a lot. But yeah, I don't know. More casting news though. This one I'm a little more excited about. So my wife has been a big fan of books by Frida McFadden. The Housemaid being the big one that just took off the last few years. I haven't read them myself, but it's about like a lady who works at a house and discovers family secrets and all kinds of twisted stuff starts happening. Anyway, Christmas 2025, we're getting a movie version of it with Sydney Sweeney starring as the housemaid. And after her turn in Immaculate, totally down. I'm down for whatever she makes now.
Okay, yeah, I saw that headline, and I know Sydney Sweeney had a small part in The Handmaid's Tale. So I think Housemaid and Handmaid's Tale, like, it was like there's some cognitive confusion that was happening when I saw the headline.
Yeah. But I know this. The book is super popular. It's on all these best thriller list type stuff, and so yeah, add in Sydney Sweeney in there, and I'm in.
I bet you are.
What's that supposed to mean? Can you explain the joke, Jason? For those of us who didn't get the joke, okay, I just wonder.
Okay.
Well, if you're going to make comments like that, my next one I'm going to talk about is Margaret Qualley is in a new movie coming out next year.
Okay.
Victorian Psycho. And I don't know much about it other than it's called Victorian Psycho, and Margaret Qualley was in The Substance. But again, zero chance I will not watch this movie as soon as it comes out for multiple reasons. But the Margaret Qualley of it is a lot of the reason for sure.
Are we going to talk about the other Psycho?
What's that?
Are we talking about the American Psycho casting?
Oh, I forgot about that. Who was it?
Austin Butler.
That's right. Yeah. So they're doing a remake of American Psycho with Austin Butler in the lead role. It could work. I could see it working.
If it wasn't the guy who did the Suspiria remake, I would be concerned, because I think American Psycho is a perfect movie as it is. But get someone like that to do something, okay, maybe we'll do something interesting. Like,
especially if they do a different take like they did with Suspiria. You know,
that's what he's doing. He said he's ignoring the original movie and basically basing everything as a direct adaptation of the book. And I think the difference is, like, I know I've heard the original one referred to a lot as a black comedy, but it's really not supposed to be.
Right.
It's supposed to make you feel icky for enjoying parts of the movie.
That's part of being a black comedy by definition, but
yeah, which I guess you can say that, but I don't think it's meant to be as funny as people take it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they have a real good chance with I think the remake or whatever they're doing now, the new adaptation, they have a chance to go even like kind of maybe a little bit darker with it. So I'm interested. And the casting was good. The casting, like the guy is a handsome dude, but he looks like he could fit in a crowd, and I think that's really, really important for the Bateman character.
My joke when I saw who was directing it was that they should set in Berlin and have what's her name, Tilda Swinton, play all the characters, even Patrick Bateman and every other character.
I'd be for it.
Yeah, that's all I got right now. It's right in the middle of the holiday season, so there's not a ton of like releases, but news is starting to trickle out as we get ready for the next year.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to try to workshop something a little bit different today. Usually we give the dad advice and we kind of try to come with some big overarching thing, but I think we're going to do a little bit different, where each of us kind of gives either a rant or a rave, kind of a dad rant or dad rave, something that we're really into or something that we want to, against. Try hopefully not too political, Mondo, please, but
I've already gotten my rant out of the way for the week, so
But I want to rave about a new show on HBO Max called Creature Commandos. That just popped up.
To watch.
I watched the first couple episodes. It was fun.
It was amazing. So it's like it's in the part of the new DCU or whatever you want to call it. And it's kind of like Suicide Squad. It's Amanda Waller putting together a team, but these are all like supernatural creatures that she's kind of come across that like not even the Suicide Squad would handle. And it's animated, which at first I was like, oh, cool, I'll watch it with my kids. And I started watching it. I'm like, no, not with my kids.
Well, it's rated M, I think. So
right.
Yeah, is this got the same kind of tone as like the Harley Quinn show on HBO Max?
So.
Okay. I haven't watched that show, but
love that, and the Kite Man show was actually really good too.
Yes, we have this Harley Quinn show knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so this one you have like the Bride of Frankenstein. She's got like her whole thing, and then there's this great bit about Frankenstein, coming after, like lusting after her through the ages, and she's just trying to be her own person. That's great. We have the Weasel, which was in the Suicide Squad movie. It's kind of his own character. We got like Fish Woman, and we have one other guy, but my favorite one is a GI Commando. Is a Nazi killing robot from World War II that all he does is scan for Nazis. He keeps asking everyone, is this a Nazi? Is this a Nazi? Is this a Nazi? And when they want him to like, mow down the bad guys, they're like, there's the Nazis, go get them. It's really cathartic. It's written by James Gunn directly, so it's got a lot of his flair. I don't know how he has time to do all this shit. And the soundtrack is really good. I never heard of was it Gogol Brothel?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it Gogol Bordello?
Bordello, yeah.
Gogol Bordello, yeah.
And I've just fallen, and there's a really cool fight scene to one of their songs, and I just found them on Spotify. I'm doing a whole deep dive. They're amazing. So that's my rant.
And I have to throw in something real quick. Switch back segments because you mentioned James Gunn. I forgot the new Superman trailer just came out.
Yes,
too. And I'm 100% in for it.
You could have someone reading the phone book and put the Superman theme on it. I'm like, yep, I'm in.
Yeah, that John Williams theme. I've been a Superman fan since I was a little kid. He was always my favorite superhero growing up. I know a lot of like the modern take on it is, he's overpowered and, could be a fascist, blah, 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 blah. Superman was created by two Jewish men during World War II. Like he was never meant to be that. It's this ideal, this aspirational, like you can be this person, great power, great responsibility, all that. And I think James Gunn gets that. Well, I know James Gunn gets that in a way that Zack Snyder never did. And I'm sure we could piss off the Snyderverse people, but the Superman of Snyder is all, grim dark and like there's
want to be Superman.
Angsty and like troubled. And I've had enough of that Superman. It's time for like the Superman that makes you feel like, yeah, things are going to be okay. It's 2025. We need that.
And he has a dog. Come on.
Crypto's in it.
So
like, did we ever think in our lifetimes we would see a live action Crypto?
Yes. Honestly, yes.
Really?
If you want to be honest.
I'll say Super Pets, the animated movie, was actually really good.
It actually looks
movie. I
really
really like
cute.
that movie.
Yeah.
But,
So I'm going to have a dissenting opinion from Jody.
Okay,
From Jody,
sure.
even though I do really enjoy. I'm looking forward to this a lot. I think the trailer looked awesome, but I really like the dark angle they took Superman to, and years later to make the character more interesting. Because I was a kid, I hated Superman. Because I always thought like he's so powerful. Like, why is he so powerful and nothing can ever hurt him? So I never felt like he was ever really in peril in any of the books, which sometimes you need for that. Like,
he
pro
died
wrestling
in the
thing.
90s.
Well, he died when Doomsday killed him, and I still remember that being such a big deal.
Yep.
Like Inside Edition and all the news shows are reporting on the death of Superman, and it's still a great storyline too. And with the iconic cover of the Superman cape on the pike, I guess, or whatever it was. So, but I love the darker Superman. I love what Zack Snyder actually did with the character because he basically took it out of the newer comics. But much to now to go back and agree with your point, I'm all for the superhero, the all powerful justice bringer who's fighting for the common man.
Well, and they show him beat and bloody in the very beginning, so they're kind of starting out saying this is still a Superman that can. We don't know how.
And they
my favorite Superman is Christopher Reeve, as far as when it comes to Superman on screen. Yeah, because he seemed like a real person, like a decent man, in addition to being superpowered. And so I think that maybe a little more of what they're going for is that version again.
And they recently rebooted the DC universe, and now Superman wears the S on his shirt, but the S is it's a status symbol they wear in Krypton.
Okay.
And the S means he's poor.
Okay.
He's like a poor farmer family. And then I don't want to spoil the storyline for anyone reading it, but basically his suit is called Soul, which is a living, breathing being, almost like a symbiote, but a little bit different than that because it's all about being pure. And in this, he's basically trying to fight a corporation that's making citizens mine. I think it's basically they're trying to really talk about like the gem trade and stuff you see in Africa and in South America and the poor conditions that workers have to work in for these mega corporations to make money. And he's fighting for those people. And it's actually really, really well done. Lois Lane is in it. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't read it, but she has an awesome role that you would not expect. So the DC universe, as I've said this before, but the fucking reboot has been just fantastic. Like every story that I've read so far has been great.
And I have to mention the most important part of this new Superman movie. We're back to a costume with the red shorts on the outside again. back to the old days with a Superman costume, which, I'm a classicist. I enjoy that. I like Superman looking like Superman.
The original, it's iconic.
Yeah.
Okay, it'd be like when Doug becomes Quail Man if he didn't put his underwear on the outside. It wouldn't be the same.
That's right. All right. So now we can switch back to the other segment since I jumped.
Well, that could be your rave was for the Superman trailer. Let's see what else you got.
I do have one more rave. I watched Christmas Bloody Christmas for the first time. The Joe Bagos Santa Claus robot killer movie.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I can understand exactly why somebody would not like it. Like, I also really liked Bliss, and I think I'm like the only person who liked that movie.
A lot of people did.
Bagos joint. There's something about the vibe of his movies. There's a lot of talking. Like, it's like drunk conversations for the first 45 minutes of it, but they were at least entertaining drunk conversations.
Yeah, I think at like 20 minutes through, I was like, I'm either not in the mood for this or I'm not connecting with this, and I can't spend the rest of my night.
But I like his stuff, and Christmas Bloody Christmas was, big and gory and talky and all the stuff I enjoy from him.
I didn't love Bliss, but I really enjoyed I loved VFW.
The VFW
is Bliss the one with the artist?
The artist and the vampire stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like Bliss and I like VHW.
He also the Mind's Eye was really good. Almost Human was really good.
Yeah.
And
Bliss is one to just watch with the volume turned up.
I'm with you, Joey. I think Christmas Bloody Christmas is fun as all hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very.
Yeah, I need to watch it again. I need to give it another try, but just didn't happen the first time.
It's one of those, I think, you probably love it or hate it movies. I loved it, so some of y'all might too.
I loved it too. I think it got overshadowed because when did it come out? 2022, I think.
Like last year.
But I think it came out at the same time. Well, every time is just a relative nowadays.
Right.
But I think not the problem with it, but I think it got overshadowed because Violent Night came out at the same time.
Yes.
And that was like, I love Violent Night. I enjoy both these. They're very different in tone and in style.
Sure.
But I think that one kind of overshadowed this release a little bit, and I think more people should watch it. With you,
I think they're doing. These notes are doing a sequel.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I definitely watch that.
All right, thank you, Jody. Mondo, do you have anything you want to rant or rave about?
Nah, I just want to wish Merry Christmas to all of our listeners out there. Happy holidays, whatever you guys celebrate. Like it's all good. So yeah, it's because we're going into Christmas, we're going into the holidays, and as bah humbug as I am about the season, I still want everyone out there to have an awesome holiday, enjoy some time with your family. Hold on to the ones you feel dear. Yeah, you don't like it's totally cool too. Like I don't see my family because my family sucks. Which is okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, especially for your own mental health, to be like, I can't be in this environment. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the ones you love, hold them dear, and have a good holiday, guys. We appreciate all our listeners out there, and we wish them the best for the coming year.
Hear, hear. All right. Well, if you want to send us any a present for the holidays, you can always give us a rating and review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, a like, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Dads from the Crypt Talk on TikTok. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Stay tuned for Jason's home address.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.